Good morning and welcome to this week's Checkers Baby Vlog. The topic this week is on toddler tantrums. And certainly for all of us who've had toddlers, we've been through the moments where we cannot believe that they're throwing a tantrum exactly when we don't need them to. As we're walking down the aisles in the shops or at a toddler birthday party, your toddler will throw themselves on the floor, start hitting their head, banging their legs, and leave you looking like a very incapable parent because you're a victim of something that you cannot control. Well, the good news is it happens to us all. Here's a shot of Jennifer Lopez managing her toddler, trying to get him probably out of a shop without taking something that he really wants. So there goes a toddler temper tantrum for our celebs. And it really has happened to all of us. Now, the reasons that toddlers throw tantrums are varied, and today I'm going to talk about a couple of the ways that you can prevent toddler tantrums and also deal with them in the moment. Well, one of my first tips is to make sure that your toddler doesn't get overtired, because one thing we do know is that an overtired toddler becomes unplayable. They become overstimulated and they really dig their heels in and are very, very difficult to manage. So make sure your toddler doesn't become overtired. We do have the Awake Times Guide, which is included in all of my Sense series books, Baby Sense, Sleep Sense, and Feeding Sense. And this Awake Times Guide is a guide to how long your toddler can be awake. And you can see there that for your 1 to 2 year old, between 2 and 5 years old, you're looking at an average of about 5 hours of awake time. So that means from waking up in the morning at 7 in the morning through to 12 o'clock in the afternoon would be an appropriate awake time. And from 2 in the afternoon when they wake up through to 7 in the evening would be another 5 hours, and that's an appropriate wake time. So approximately 5 hours between sleeps, between waking up in the morning and midday sleep, and then the evening sleep. Now, when toddlers drop that midday sleep is very variable, but I certainly would encourage all toddlers to be offered a sleep at that time of day. Certainly as they get a little older, your 3-year-old, your 4-year-old might actually start to drop that sleep, but really always have a rest time. That's the very first important principle, is make sure your toddler does have that midday sleep, because if they don't, you're much more likely to be dealing with temper tantrums in the afternoon. The second principle is also a basic need, and that's the basic need of nutrition. Your toddler needs to be able to eat very regularly during the day, and so we're talking about 3 meals and 2 snacks in between the meals. A snack in between lunch and supper and a snack between breakfast and lunch would be appropriate. And try and make that snacks that are healthy, low GI, high in protein or fats as opposed to processed carbohydrates which get broken down very quickly. And definitely avoid all your sugary snacks, because that will spike your baby's blood sugar and drop them. And as their blood sugar drops, they become unplayable again. Now, I'm sure that this has happened to you, that you've left work, picked up your little one from creche or from home, and quickly rushed off to Checkers to go and do your weekly shop, and then had them have a complete meltdown in the sweet aisle of the shop. Now, this happens because their blood sugar is low and they're quite tired. It's the end of the day. Now, one of the ways to avoid that is, as you pull into the shop, actually go off to the cut fruit section and just get them a little tub of cut fruit so that they can eat that as they go around the shop. It'll take care of that sugar low, and so by the time you get into the sweet aisle, they're not going to be throwing that temper tantrum to get that box of Smarties or whatever they're wanting. So deal with hunger and make sure that that is not going to be a reason for your toddler to be throwing a tantrum. Now, when it comes to tantrums and toddlers, you really do need to pick your battles, because there will be certain things that your toddler will dig their heels in about that actually doesn't really matter to you. And I know I've spoken about this before, but here's my slide on pick your battles. You need to ask yourself 3 questions. Will what my toddler want hurt himself? Will he hurt others? And is what he's doing unkind? And if the answers to those 3 questions are no, I would let it go. So if it's not going to hurt himself, not going to hurt others, and it's not unkind, then allow your toddler some leeway to make some decisions. And by doing that, you'll avert a couple of temper tantrums. So for instance, if your toddler wants to stick his finger in the plug hole of the wall, is he going to hurt himself? Yes. So that's an absolute no-go area, and you would have to remove your toddler and distract them from that activity. But if your toddler's having some water play outside and it's just irritating you because you've just put a new change of clothes on, well, actually, wetting their clothes again it's an irritation for you, but it's not going to harm your baby or hurt others, and it's not unkind. So I would pick my battles and let things go. If you don't need to fight it with your toddlers, let it go, because there's going to be a lot of things that you do need to fight with them. Tip number 4 is to give your toddler a sensory timeout. Now, what happens in a toddler's day is they take in so much information. They seek a lot of sensory input. And so what ends up happening is they become overstimulated. And an overstimulated toddler is absolutely more likely to throw a tantrum. So a wonderful tip to have in your TV room or in their bedroom is to build a little timeout space. Now this is not a punishment. They do not get punished by going there. It's a nice space to go to that you can encourage them to go to. And you can see in this picture, a tent is a wonderful way to build it. Put in some nice soft blankets. Put your toddler's doo-doo blankie or dummy in there if they're still using those. And you can see that little basket of goodies there. Now that basket of goodies will contain things like maybe something that smells nice, maybe some nice little puzzles, a little bit of Lego for them to play with. So something that they can focus on to take their mind off what they were about to throw the tantrum about. So as they're about to throw the tantrum, you take them through there and you can actually then chat to them about what's in the space. Do they want to read a book? That they can just have some quiet time, maybe without you, but they need to stay in there for a bit. I came across this wonderful activity that is a sensory timeout activity. You take a bottle and you fill it with some liquid and you put some glitter in there and some oil as well. And so you've got a mixture of oil, water and glitter. And what happens is as your baby turns it upside down, because of the viscosity of the liquid, the glitter kind of floats down slowly. And it's a wonderful thing for toddlers to actually focus in on, to take their mind off what they were about to throw a temper tantrum about. So stick one of those in the sensory space as well, and you certainly will have a toddler who is going to short circuit those tantrums. And then finally, make your toddler feel understood. It's very important that while your toddler is throwing a temper tantrum, he understands that you know what he wants. Very often we just respond with a no, we're not doing that. And our toddlers think, they didn't understand what I was trying to say. They didn't understand what I was trying to do. And so what you need to do is make sure that your toddler feels like you understand them. So the important principle with that is to get down on your toddler's level. You can see in this picture, the mom has got down. She's actually lifted her toddler off the floor and she's putting her hands on him. And in that process, she's giving him deep pressure and she's making him feel understood. And from there, I would go to my ABC approach. I would acknowledge, give a boundary, and then give a choice. So acknowledge that you understand what your child wants. So I know you want to stick your fingers in the plug hole. That would be acknowledging that you know what your toddler was trying to do. The B is the boundary, where you say, but we can't stick our fingers in plug holes because it's dangerous, because you'll get sore and you'll be anar. So you give them the reason why they cannot do what you just are telling them not to do. And then give your toddler a choice. So we can go and have a snack now, or Mummy and you can go and read a book. So you give them a choice between two things. And that in that way, you'll make your toddler feel understood and give them options. So those are my tips on toddlers. And I'm going to flip across now to the Checkers Facebook page. And I've picked out 2 toddler questions that I'm going to answer for you. We have our Facebook parties on the Checkers Baby page, so you can come and join us there. And here's one of the questions that came up a few weeks ago. Zoreen Smith said, my toddler's 18 months old and the new baby is 3 weeks old. Is it normal for my toddler to be jealous? Now, the truth is that that's often when temper tantrums come up, is when we are having attention-seeking behavior. It's completely normal for a toddler to start to throw more tantrums when a new sibling arrives. Now, the new sibling will become cuter and cuter. So in the early days, the new sibling just sleeps. So you may not have behavior difficulties. But certainly as they approach 4 months of age and they're really cute, you'll find that your toddler's behavior plays out. One of the things there is to make sure that you spend extra time with your toddler. Give them a time of day where just the two of you go to a special space and play with toys that are actually kind of separated out from the rest of the toys and that you can engage with them. And then, of course, make them feel understood, acknowledged, and loved. The second question this week comes from Janice, and she says, hi Meg, my baby's 13 months old and normally naps twice a day but seems to be fighting that afternoon nap lately. She wakes up any time from 6 in the morning. Is she too young to have one nap a day? Now this question also pertains to our tantrums because we know that toddlers will often tantrum around sleep time, so you need to keep sleep times age appropriate. And as I said earlier, between 12 to 14 months, and this baby's 13 months, babies will drop from 2 sleeps down to 1 sleep. And so it's quite age appropriate that we move this toddler from 2 sleeps to 1 sleep. And the way that we do that is that for a couple of days we do 2 sleeps, and then for 1 day we do 1 sleep, and then back to 2 sleeps, and then down to 1 sleep. And intermittently over the course of 2 weeks, we start to drop from 2 sleeps all the way down to 1 sleep. And in that way, we keep our toddlers well rested and prevent temper tantrums. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next month.